Okay, recording this video on Wednesday, the 23rd of December, 2020. It's just gone 4:14 a.m. Chicago time. It's 11:14 a.m. here in France. Do hope you are doing well. So this video, we're going to talk about gold and silver because we have a potential re-entry opportunity lining up. Going to talk to the charts first and then talk about maybe some of the fundamental drivers of why this trade might be kind of looking interesting and lining up right now. For the charts, we're going to go through the daily charts and then the tick bar charts to kind of zero in. Two charts side by side. It's my usual chart setup. Left-hand side are the indicators to do with volume. We've got better momentum below the price bars, which calculates the volume momentum. On the price bars themselves, we have better Pro-Am, which is an indicator based on average trade size, which allows us to identify professional and amateur activity. Amateur bars are painted in yellow and professional bars are painted in blue. And on the right-hand side, we have everything to do with price, with my price-based indicator, better sine wave. And better sine wave below the price bars here is calculating the cyclical activity in 3 different time frames. That allows us to calculate support and resistance lines on the price bars, and then breaks of those support and resistance lines give us trends. Uptrends and strength are printed in red, and weakness and downtrends are printed in white. So there we go, that's the kind of chart set up side by side, and what I want to focus on is the professional activity. So rally in gold was going really nicely until about June, July this year, where we kind of maxed out above 2,000. This number was just short of 2,100, kind of up here. We kind of fell off after there. It had been a super strong rally, and we ended up with a whole bunch of end of trend signals, blah, blah, blah. And we just kind of fell off. I think one of the reasons for the fall off has been this is where the rally in Bitcoin really kind of started to gather steam. And I think there was a lot of money possibly coming out of gold and into Bitcoin at that time. But the important thing to note is there were no blue professional bars taking profits at these highs. It was a pretty decent reading in terms of better momentum that we were spiking up like that. But it actually didn't generate an exhaustion momentum signal similar to the ones we had kind of here and here. So that was kind of interesting. Somewhat driven by the amateurs when you see the move there, kind of led by Rambo patterns, amateurs kind of driving the move, certainly in this leg here. But we fell off into July and then we kind of rallied again. But for me, the most important thing is that we didn't see blue professional bars at the highs kind of taking profits, and we've subsequently fallen off. We have rallied a little bit, so we can look at that kind of rally in the tick bar charts to get a little bit more granularity into it. So this is a 4,000 tick bar chart in gold, which I like because it gives us good kind of signals. And here, there were no professional bars that we could see here on this daily chart, in those last year or so. But we can definitely see some taking place on the tick bar chart here. Now again, when we rallied into this move here up into 1,900, no blue professional bars at those highs. That was kind of interesting. We'd seen some here, and we'd fallen off. Rally after blue professional bars here, breaking above 18 kind of 40 level here, and the professionals step in here and here. And this is what I'm interested in. Yesterday we had some blue professional bars kind of step in. Now, because we have not seen blue professional bars at these highs, that means that the professionals have not been taking profits kind of up here. So they jumped in down here at the lows, and then this rally began, and then the professionals stepped in here to get it going at 1860, bang, through this move. We kind of maxed out a little bit, 1910, came back, professionals stepped in. The rally was being led by the amateurs at this point, and so it came back and tested into that level, and that's why we have a little bit of a kind of a double bounce kind of happening here with blue professional bars stepping in at those lows. So we had exhaustion sell at this point, we had a bullish divergence and a flush pattern. So we flushed out a lot of the sellers at that point. So you'll see these amateurs maybe were just getting wrong-footed and kind of taken out down at these lows. But it wasn't a Rambo pattern down here or anything like that. It wasn't amateur bars at the lows, but it was led by the amateurs there, so it was a little bit weak. But the professionals have held it. So at 1860, they've held it down here. They've held it again. You can see here with our trending system that we just started to break the last couple of bars here above resistances. So this is breaking into an uptrend. I like it when everything kind of comes together. The background printing is showing strength and weakness, uptrends and downtrends, when we have confirmation between the two different indicators. So when the price indicators and the volume indicators work together, the background for a downtrend is printed in grey. When the price and the volume indicators are both signaling uptrends and strength, the background is printed in this kind of dark red color. So we've just had a signal come in with this dark red, last 2 or 3 bars, just saying that we're breaking back into a confirmed uptrend in both price and volume. So gold's looking interesting, and it's because we've not, and I think the rally in gold is going to continue on a technical basis because we didn't see blue professional bars up here at the highs. It was a high reading in terms of momentum, but we didn't see professional profit taking at those highs. But instead, what we've seen is blue professional bars coming at the lows and not be taking profits up here. So I think that's looking interesting for a continuation of the rally in gold. The reasons for a rally in gold, I think over the years there's been various theories kind of bandied around what's driving the strength in gold, various different things. Back in the 70s it was an inflation play, a lot of commodities kind of taking off in price, and it was an inflation kind of hedge, so gold would go up because of inflation. I think after that became viewed as maybe a risk asset. So as soon as equity markets, for example, sold off, people would pile into bonds and gold as a kind of a safety play. And then I think more towards the 2000s, we've been talking about money printing a lot more, Fed's balance sheet, all of those things, potential hyperinflation and so on. And so that's what's driven the rally in Bitcoin to some extent, and gold over the last decade basically is just increasing money printing. I'm a particular fan of Martin Armstrong's kind of theory where he says that gold rallies when there's political uncertainty. I kind of like that. And right now, I think we have tremendous political uncertainty kind of going on. So certainly when you look to the US, we have a contested election, and that's just going to get more and more interesting over the next week or two. We're going to see fireworks at some point. Trump isn't just going to kind of roll over and give in to Joe Biden. So that political uncertainty is going to get ratcheted up in the next 2 weeks, I would say. And then sitting here in Europe, I think a lot of people are starting to, certainly in the UK, kind of just lose it over the political management of the pandemic crisis. So-called pandemic. It's certainly a crisis. Just as a small thing, we're stuck in France here. I was hoping to celebrate Christmas with my sister and mother and their family over Christmas, but no, it's not going to happen this year because the UK locked down pretty severely. What they're calling kind of Tier 4 in London, which is basically back to what we were doing back in March, April. And they've also stopped travel between the UK. So the rest of Europe has basically isolated themselves or isolated the UK from the rest of Europe. So currently there's no travel happening between the continent, Europe and the UK. Stopped all flights, all ferries and all lorry traffic, kind of transportation logistics between Europe and the UK. Pretty extreme. Some of it, I think, was a reaction to Brexit and just, politicians just sticking fingers up at each other. But I think there's a lot of people, getting pretty fed up with political decisions that are being made around this whole crisis, and they're lacking a lot of confidence. And there's no outlet to change government, change leadership, and so on. There's no elections in the offing, of any note for the UK, for France, Germany, and so on for some years, I think, when you look at the kind of timetables. So current leadership looks like it'll kind of stay in place, and that's a little bit frustrating, particularly because the two places where you'd expect to see dissent or, questioning of government decisions through the media and opposition parties, both of those seem to be totally on board with what politicians are doing right now. So I think the gold rally this time around is going to be driven, somewhat by the money printing, the news of the omnibus bill that's coming out of the US and so on, probably monetized by the Fed, most likely, and so on. But a lot of it is political uncertainty and political dissatisfaction. Anyway, that's kind of beside the point. I'm a purely technical trader, And I'm looking at this trade and saying, yeah, the professionals definitely kind of stepped in here at 64. So let's see if this rally kind of continues. We've got a couple of down bars here, just kind of testing into this move. But momentum has started to crack above the zero line. So let's see where that one goes. Silver, slightly different kind of chart here. So the gold chart we saw at this rally point here, no blue professional bars. Silver was the reverse. Silver, we had a whole bunch of blue professional bars and 2 exhaustion patterns when we reached up into the 30s, kind of up here. So that was pretty significant. And then what we've done subsequently is, we had a huge fall back in September, I think that was. And we've just been basing around 24 in silver. But on the tick bar chart, and I'm using a 2000 tick bar chart here for silver, you can see that we didn't have blue professional bars at the highs in this last kind of push up to 27, which was this move here. So we had blue professional bars, none at the lows, and that was a little bit of a concern. We had them taking profits here, but then after this kind of fall down to 24 again, the professionals definitely stepped back in order to drive this rally up. So the rally's been good. No blue professional bars kind of taking profits here. We had a weak little retrace here, but they've stepped in over the last 2 days, a whole bunch of blue professional bars here down at 25s. So that is looking kind of interesting. We got support potentially coming in at some point on the highest time frame. Here on better sine wave gold, I didn't look at that. Same thing, support coming in fairly soon on that pattern there when we get across on the highest time frame. Although we've got all this profit taken by professionals up at 30, we do have room for a rally back up to that kind of area because the professionals have stepped in here at 25. So gold and silver, I think that'll be interesting for the beginning of the year's kind of trade. The Emini continues to break up. We're up at 36.76. That's on the daily chart. On the we're 36.89 on the tick bar chart here, and I'm using a 10,000 bar tick bar chart. This was some really interesting trade from last week into Sunday, Monday. So I was short and made good money on this collapse from Sunday night to the open on Monday. Got out just here when this rally was taking place and got long at this point here. But what's interesting for me is on the tip bar chart, we've got a whole bunch of blue professional bars sitting up here under 3,700 there. So we're going back up. We're under the lip, I call this. This is kind of the lip where that significant kind of professional activity was. And we're kind of testing back up. So let's see where this goes. Better sine wave showing at the moment that we're in a downtrend here with weakness, but we need to find a resistance point and break through that. So maybe that's going to come around 3,700 today on Wednesday's trade, but we'll kind of have to wait and see. So there we go, political uncertainty over the next 3-4 weeks, and gold is setting up for a nice kind of retrace back up to the highs, and silver potentially as well. So let's see what happens.